Yay, it's live time.
It's live time. Live time. It's live time. Docket's in the chat. It's live time. Discussing Tabletop.
Right.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me, Lightning.
Hi.
Mm-hmm.
I have the AC on full blast. I'm going to be very cold by the end of the show.
Good kind of cold, probably, hopefully.
Well, after being outside working in the sun, yes.
So it is August 14th, 2021. We're approaching like 200 episodes of the show. Man, I have done too much of the show.
I have not been on for half of them.
Yes. Maybe a quarter.
Maybe a quarter by now. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a bit. But, so we got an interesting set of topics today. We're going to hit into them, and an interesting, deeper discussion topic that I thought, it's one of those things that I feel like you need the perspective of, of a DM to talk about. So I thought that's why, when I chose that one, semi-randomly, it would be pretty good for today.
I mean, everyone who's been on the show has DM'd before. Well, at least of the regular hosts.
Yes.
I can't speak for previous hosts you've had as guest hosts.
Joe has, and I think
Yeah.
when Worm was around, he has, so he probably could have helped with it.
Yeah.
But let's start with the basics. Modifius has put out something for a Trailblazers toolkit, as they call it, for 5 parsecs from home. So let me just put the link into chat here. So it's expansion for the RPG. It's the RPG Light Adventure War Game 5 Parsecs for Home, the 3rd edition. So it's sort of like their war game RPG mixture, I think, is what because they do a couple of these. Like they do the Fallout one.
Yeah. I mean, the cover looks great.
Yeah.
The price looks nice.
Yes. I like the idea that they're... The idea between, like, I guess, it's customization, it's stuff for adventures, adversaries, it's supposed to make it easier for new players also. So there's a lot of little, like, things putting it together.
So at the bottom here, it says this is the first expansion for the RPG Light 5 Parsecs from Home. Solo adventure wargame. Assemble a ragtag crew of galactic trailblazers and head out to explore the stars. Pick up jobs and every now and then engage in some action-packed sci-fi combat. So you can play it by yourself, or is it exclusively a solo?
I'm unsure, because I thought we talked about it before 5 parsecs.
If we did, I don't remember.
Let me look it up directly. Okay, they do say this one's solo. Yeah. I mean, it's got like a core rule book. It's got a lot of stuff. It's got a 184-page hardback book that, you know, I guess it's supposed to be like the idea that, because they do have the solo RPG. They do exist.
If you look at the core book, it says it's also a solo adventure. So I wonder if the 5 Parsecs from Home is literally a solo adventure.
That might be it. That it might be a solo adventure system. That,
which is fine. I mean, I know people that can't really get groups together, or people that like to collect miniatures. If this says like a miniature thing.
Well, they say like miniature agnostic. Use whatever you have.
Oh well, yeah. So
yeah. So
yeah.
I think it's the idea that this is not like this is set up like a lot of the war games they do, but because a lot of the other ones are multiplayer, they haven't actually put out anything for it. Like, you know, their Fallout miniatures game, and then they have their Fallout miniatures / RPG, and now they have the full RPG, which we'll be talking about a little later in the show. So it's like they've done like the 3 different things. So this is sort of the one in the middle, but it's also set up to be kind of like solo, which is kind of an interesting idea of what you're playing against. And I guess you do require books like these because it's like you only have so many scenarios you can play through.
Yeah, I mean, the price is pretty good, though it is for just yourself instead of like a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want to take like, let's just say like a average $60 book, right? Well, if you're playing with 4 players, you know, what, 60 divided by 5, technically if everybody chipped in to run the game, well, that makes the price a whole lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Which would actually make it technically a little bit cheaper than this, but the difference is maybe scope and scale a little bit. I couldn't say for this
Unfortunately,
how big it goes up to.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it is solo, it makes it different to judge it unless you actually do it. And the fact is, solo games are like one of those things is like, are you going to be engrossed enough, or do you love... You probably have to have a love for miniatures games, honestly. It
does say on the core one that it says it has extensive options for game mastery and scenarios, allowing a complex RPG-like campaigns to be played with connected scenario plots, environmental hazards, and factional conflict. So it's possible it's built for being solo, but like they have extra rules for like playing with other people?
Maybe.
But back to my original thing, I think it's cool that they're making solo content because there's a lot of games that you can't play by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't play a fun D&D by myself. Even if I had one other player, you have to both be like on your A game. I think really kind of enjoy that thing because otherwise it's less collaborative storytelling at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have different points of view to interject and have different scenarios.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more difficult when it's just you and one other person. Not impossible, but... But, you know, I thought it was very neat that they're putting it together like this, and there's also kind of too many or too few players. Hey, a new topic. It's a good one for the future. Made me think of it, and I don't think we've talked about anything like that. It's also like
too many people.
Yeah, too many or too few people.
Yeah, I have run with definitely too few. I don't know if I've run with well, actually, I think I've run with too many too. Yeah.
6 was kind of my top end, and it didn't work out very well, but I could see it possibly working out.
I think with the right people.
Yes.
But what's next on the docket?
Well, next after 5 Parcects is a interesting... It's technically a being crowdfunded, this thing, but it's like a not Kickstarter crowdfunding. Lands of Galzyr. It's a story-driven open-world adventure. You can play cooperative and competitively. Where meet friendly animal people to complete missions. And
eat them?
Possibly. It has a simple save mechanic to come back later, so it's like a board game, but you can save it.
Is it a board game? Or
It is
a
board game. If you look at it, it is a board game with little wooden figure animals.
Yeah, I see the little animals. They're pretty adorable. One of them looks like it has a freaking scar and eye patch.
Yes.
Eye patch?
Yes. Like that. Yeah, definitely.
He's like, I'm so happy, but you've not my dark and tragic backstory.
Yeah, like the one next to it, like the lizard's like, "Hey, everybody," and the other one's like, "I've got a dark and tragic backstory."
You wouldn't understand. I grew up on the streets. There is French and Spanish on here, which I can't read, so I don't know what those say. But it probably is something about that we're going to support these other languages, which is always good.
Mm-hmm. So it's a longer game, 60 to 150 minutes, they say. It's interesting that like it looks like there's 2 different maps, a winter one and a non-winter one version of it.
I wonder if that's like an expansion or for an extra, like, pay $30 for one, pay $50 for 2 board games.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the unfortunate thing that they talk a big talk, but like I'm like looking at it like oh, hey, it's like a weasel with the scar and eye patch, and it's
is it a weasel?
The adventure boards with rotating gold dials and spots to mark skills, and it's Bummier. The marbled polecat. It's a skunk.
Oh, awesome. I love it.
Uh-huh. There's the northern banded newt, the river kingfisher, and the frill lizard. Apparently are your
there
plays.
he gets the name. Bummier.
Yeah, Bummier. Moore, Alicia, and Caradai.
I mean, it's adorable.
Wow.
I don't know how you play.
Yeah.
But it looks like a lot.
It's a lot. Like 48 pegs, 18 dice, 480 cards.
Yeah.
The double-sided game board, some wood tokens.
There it is. Yeah, it's a double-sided game board.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
The deluxe edition includes extra dice, the adventure journal, a foldable dice tray, a soundtracks download.
Okay.
That just seems ridiculous.
Double-sided playmat with stitched edges and a sturdy playmat bag.
Okay.
Oh, that's neat.
So they're doing something that, like, they are combining some digital elements here. Because normally, like, something like Betrayal at House on the Hill has their little booklets with their stories. But so instead of, like, having, like, something like that that's a physical book, it's a digital storybook where, like, it's 300 different stories, I guess, you could play out.
Okay.
So that's actually interesting.
The storybook will have over 300,000 words, which would fill 3 traditional printed novels.
Yep.
This is a big board game.
Yeah. It seems neat. And a little crazy. Like I can.
I just want to read this one line, like that voice. I saw the resourceful kingfisher with keen instincts and a rough background.
Toughest desk polecat who's no stranger to adventures.
Yeah.
The frill lizard's a bard. The bolsterous frill lizard who nothing more than a good story. Fucking bard.
He's got a little hat on. The frill lizard.
Yeah, he does have a little hat on.
It's awesome. I'm sorry. This is adorable. This would be, I think, a lot to learn at first, but I think, like, after you know what you're doing, it could be really good.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of money, but that makes sense for how much there is.
And apparently the newt's like the wizard because they have like a psychic power or something. Power of the mind. Caradai, the northern banded newt with it's showing a card. Power of the mind. Yeah. Yes.
He's touching like the sides of his head, like I will destroy you with my mind. Prepare to die.
The
newt powers activates.
This newt knows what it's newting. Well, there's a downloadable rules book too, so that's good. But,
yeah.
I mean,
apparently people have been playtesting it.
Oh, that's cool.
Because one of these videos is the first impressions. I'm assuming they'd have to play it to get a first impression.
Yes.
But maybe they're just looking at it, but
probably playtesting. I mean, like honestly, a lot of things do some playtests too.
Yeah.
A lot of games, so I could see them playtesting for like some big people.
That's a lot. If I had the money and people were local, I could see playing this.
What? 70.
That's in pounds, so it's more.
A lot.
So it's probably $150 to $180.
Ow! My soul.
Yeah. Let's see if I can do a conversion really quick. What was it? 139 British pounds? 129.
It's not as bad because it's only 1.39
dollars.
Yeah.
$178 and some kind of cents.
So it'll be only like $100 for the standard edition, though, at least.
So I was pretty close. I was saying 180 on the top end.
Yeah. Man.
But like for the amount of stuff you're getting,
like even the standard edition, I was looking at that and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in the standard edition too.
I didn't see this. saw a deluxe edition, because that's the one I'm going to buy. So
Mhm.
buy deluxe edition. Well, that's fine, but
Well, it's got like the adventure figures, the boards, the plastic, the dice, the cards, the organizers, the wooded tokens, and all this stuff. And then apparently, all unlocked stretch goals.
Yeah, they are 277% funded.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they're not going to have any slowdown on like printing or anything.
I think it's like the soundtrack, the playmat bag, and all that other extras are included in the deluxe edition.
Physical things I can expect to be. Because that's how the world works.
Mm-hmm. Man.
But no, I mean, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat idea. Again, like the one thing that I'm curious about is like their quotation save function. After that,
I mean, if they're using a digital kind of app or whatever to like record progress in the game,
yeah,
I imagine you could save that, and then basically when you open it back up and you say like resume game, it'll be like, all right, this is what was going on, and it would be like, have these tokens or be in this location. I don't think it'd be too hard, depending on how well integrated it is with their app or something.
Yeah. I think that's the
1 to 4 players. Like you can technically play alone, I guess.
And they do say cooperative or competitive, so I mean, I agree with mostly nowadays. I'm more on the cooperative, but giving the option is good.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of board games, we got another one.
Oh no, so many board games.
Mm-hmm. That Time You Killed Me.
I mean, I killed Kelmer.
You did kill Kelmer. It's supposed to be an abstract game of time and murder.
Oh no, my brain already hurts just thinking about it.
Yeah, you're apparently mucking about across time as you play through the blah 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 through 4 chapters. You and your opponents are rival time travelers trying to erase each other from history to prove you are the only one true inventor of time travel before you get your invention to find your enemy in time and murder them.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of like everybody in the group invented time travel. You're just trying to murder each other to be like, no, I am the only one that invented time travel. Ha ha!
I am the true time traveler.
Mm-hmm.
I won't create a paradox.
Shut up, bitch. It's only supposed to be like 15 to 30 minutes, so it's not a long game. It's a weird game. Just like looking at the art of the book.
I can see it.
One box.
I mean, there's 3 game boards, and they're like progressively more broken and crazy. So I wonder if that's like the dimension level you're on, like the prime dimension, the time dimension, and the super broken time dimension. I don't know. It's only 2 players.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a versus game.
It's a versus game of time travel and murder.
Indeed.
It seemed like an interesting concept, hence why I was like,
Yeah.
That Time You Killed Me. I don't know. Games like this, again, they're not bad, but like, I'm curious as to how weird it would be with everything.
Yeah. The technically is our download a rulebook, but that would take more time than this segment should be. Because we'd have to read all the rules.
Read the
rules?
rules?
There's a time limit on the show.
I didn't bother trying to look up rules. Don't do that kind of thing unless it seems really, really interesting. It was only really interesting. It was only interesting. Not really interesting, or even really, really interesting.
So, weird time shenanigans.
Yeah, weird time shenanigans.
Where you kill your friend.
Where you kill your friend. For fun and glory.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about Fallout.
Oh, no. I mean, I might know a little bit about this one.
The Fallout RPG. It's technically available. I think that's the big thing about this entire thing. We kind of talked about it a little bit here and there as Modifius been talking about it and what they're putting out and when they're putting it out. But now their 2D20 system the full RPG, not the RPG plus war game, which they had put out previously, which I think was Wasteland Warfare, if I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah, I think that was a miniatures game?
It's the RPG / miniatures combo.
It's something. I know a little bit about this book. It's what you'd expect from Modiphius. It's a 2D20 system, but with Fallout.
Yeah.
From what I've read of the little teaser PDF that talked about the rules and stuff, it looks really good. I know a couple people who want to run it.
Yeah.
And one of them is Momo. Momo was interested in running this game. Now it's officially out.
It seems like, just from what it sounds here, you could play as like a normal survivor, super mutant, ghoul.
Yeah.
A Mr. Handy robot. Yeah.
Momo and I were talking about having rules for synths because synths are not in here. Because your origin is relatively simple. The difference between like a vault dweller and like a wastelander, because you're both human, right?
Yeah.
There's very, very small differences. And when you're a ghoul, it's despite being like really different in like what you would like experience like in the world, mechanically you're not too crazily different than humans.
Yeah.
You just like you don't take radiation damage, but there's other things like if you take too much radiation damage, you might lose your mind or something.
You might go feral.
Yeah, go feral. I don't remember the super mutant rules. I don't know if the one I had super mutants in there, or if I just don't remember them. But the Mr. Handy one is both cool and disappointing because it only has rules for the Mr. Handys, and there's a lot more than just Mr. Handy robots. So what I want to see them do is I want to see them expand on this book and have synths and more robot options, and perhaps like another area. I don't know if they really drilled into the area or if they just left it blank. But I can easily see them expanding on this because it's already really good for them to have.
Yeah, and I think like what they could do is definitely like either do regions or games or things like that, and put together
Pre-made adventures.
Pre-made adventures would be good.
Yeah, just like here's a scenario that levels of, well, I guess I don't know if there's levels. It's Modiphius, but like levels of 1 through 5 or something, or you get experience and stuff, and you get a feel from the game, and you advance your character and stuff. I think it's a really good system. I'd love to play it. I really would.
Yeah. So, I mean, the full 438-page book is out now.
It's a lot because there's items and the different robot parts. It's good. I glanced through the book, or I don't know if I had the 400.
Are there rules for looting everything?
Yes. Scavenging is a thing, and it's tied to one of your skills. And there's loot tables that are provided for the game master. So if your players are like, I loot the building, you go, all right, roll me the loot check, and then depending on the building, you'll get an idea of what you could find there.
You found 10 red plates. Sweet.
Yeah, I think what it does, it gives it to you in like scrap. So you'd like, all right, you found this, which is like 5 plastic scraps or something.
Yeah.
Or caps, things like that. Because there's a crafting system in here, so you can like craft different items. It's really good.
Yeah. Finally out. Definitely have to try it out some point in time soon. Really cool. Okay.
Next on the docket.
We're gonna start. We're gonna start with the okayest of all of these things. In the Usaopoly section.
Oh man, they have their own section.
The Goonies. Goonies Escape from One-Eyed Willie's Rich Stuff, a Coded Chronicles game.
I mean, I don't hate the idea.
I'm on board with that too.
Go 80s nostalgia, I guess. When did the Goonies come out? I gotta Google that.
Early 80s?
I'm just gonna do a search. 85. It is older than I am.
Yes, and you know how I know how old it really is? Because it's Sam is in it as a young boy. From
Sam who?
Samwise from Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Sean Astin is the main kid in Goonies.
Oh wow! Yeah, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
He's been acting for 31 years, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, sorry. That's not the right number. It's 51. No, I've gone too high. I can't math. Just ignore me.
It's fine.
He's been doing acting since the 80s.
Doing acting since the 80s. And he's also
41.
And he's also the son of Gomez Adams.
Oh no.
Because the black and white Adams family.
Yeah. He has 3 parents listed.
Mm-hmm. Was John Astin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a picture of him as what is it? I don't remember. I don't remember the character name.
What was it from?
From the Adams family. Was he the dad?
Mm-hmm. Gomez Adams.
Gomez. Oh yeah. You just said it, but I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And here's him as a sailor.
He's done a lot of, yeah.
Anyway, way off topic.
We are. It's part of their coded chronicle system that they've put out a few games for. I think the ones I've talked about is, I think we've talked about on the show. There was a Shining one, and there was a Scooby-Doo one to begin with, which is like
Scooby-Doo, hell yeah.
they're like, I guess, group kind of escape roomy puzzle kind of games.
And they're even advertising the Scooby-Doo Escape from the Haunted Mansion and the Shining Escape from Overlook Hotel.
See, I'm getting the Goonies dice set and the Goonies Monopoly are what I'm getting advertised.
I see the Monopoly Goonies in here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's a thing they also make. If you really like Goonies and Monopoly.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
I mean, like, I liked the movie Goonies. It was a pretty good movie, honestly.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's the best classic, but it's one of those ones that after every few years I could probably watch it if it's randomly on TV and be like, oh hey, Goonies.
I don't know if it's in the cult classic, but it's definitely in the classic.
Yeah.
Because Evil Dead is cult classic. Rocky Horror Picture Show is cult classic.
I think cult classics are those that didn't do well at the time and then became classics, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how well Goonies did.
I don't remember it being bad, but it's kind of aimed for kids, so it probably didn't have a very wide-reaching audience.
It probably did well enough for what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it didn't bomb.
No.
But yeah, I mean, Goonies board game. It's kind of neat looking.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the rules are.
You just have to know it's kind of like escape roomy, because that's what their coded chronicle system is. Kind of like their own like narrative escape room kind of thing that they have for certain adventures.
That could be neat. Escape room board games.
Mm-hmm. But we have another one which we're going farther down the rabbit hole. Down. Disney's Kingdom Hearts Perilous Pursuit.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yes, you too. Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, there's a Kingdom Hearts Rubik's Cube.
Oh, is there? Wow.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, there is the Kingdom Hearts Cube and Talisman Kingdom Hearts Edition.
Man, I have nothing good to say about Kingdom Hearts. I'm sorry. It's a classic video game series that is way too long and has been milked by the Disney franchise. Grumble, old man.
No, I'm sorry. I haven't played any of them, but from my knowledge, I'm like, there's too much. If you've gone from like 3 games and called it a day, great. There's like
5 or 6.
No, there's like 17.
Oh no! Oh, it's even worse.
There are so many.
Oh, there's too many games. Oh.
Yeah, the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Let me count how many games.
Oh no.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which that 8th one has technically 2 extra versions of that were kind of released. 9, 10. That are, and those 10, with the 2 extra versions of the one of them, are the direct games in the main series, like the main timeline. Then there are 3 other experiences, including there's 2, one mobile game, 1 VR game, 1 VCast game. Then there are 3 collections, and the 3rd collection also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra versions of them.
That's too many games.
Yes.
So this is why I have nothing good to say about Kingdom Hearts. I have seen like the main 3 games played a little bit. I've not like watched all of them to completion because they're like super long games.
Yeah.
But like as a video game, they're fine. They're not really my cup of tea. They're too Disney for me.
See, like, I at least remember some things because I didn't play it, but I watched someone who did a full, like, breakdown in a half an hour of, like, the plot of this series up until Kingdom Hearts 3. And it was just... what the fuck?
This is what happens when you don't have a head director for your storyboard, I guess. Is they just go, I don't know, what sounds cool? Yeah, that's a deeper discussion right there, which
what sounds cool?
No. The deeper discussion is how much is too much when it comes to plot devices. You know, if you give your team of adventurers like 16 different plot hooks and they grab all of them, is that too many? Is it not enough?
That'll be the topic of how much is too much plot.
Yeah, too much plot. That's Kingdom Hearts. It's too much plot.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. It is too much plot. But now we have a board game for it. It's a cooperative chase to defeat the Heartless.
Aren't they undefeatable because they're unlimited?
Probably. You take the roles of Sora, Goofy, Donald, Kari, and Riku. I mean, 2 of those people aren't real in this franchise. I'm just gonna pretend they aren't because I don't remember them really.
I think they're all real people.
That lies. They're illusions that, never show up in the main games as playable characters, and you only play those other 3. The other 2 are like, well, why are they there? Whatever.
They're side characters that have a deep and rich tragic backstory.
They're all deep and rich and tragic backstory. They even gave one to, like, the Disney characters. It's like, oh, now, Donald, your deep and rich and tragic backstory has shown up.
Oh, man, when his wife left him and took the kids, and then he had to get a real job because he got kicked out of the Navy because he went to drugs and stuff. But thankfully, then he picked him up.
And so he learned magic and became a mage, apparently, or something.
He learned how to heal people. Or maybe that's Goofy, I don't remember.
I don't know which is which. Again, I haven't played them.
I think Goofy's the defender and Donald's the healer, I think, maybe. Or maybe Goofy's both. I don't know, I've never played them personally. They are insane, and I know there's a lot of people that really like this. So, maybe this is good. I have no idea.
See, I should have asked Lee. He would have known. He's tried to speedrun at least one of the Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, that sounds like hell.
I mean, apparently you can do them. At least the one he did, you can do relatively quickly. He is a man I respect because he speedruns like one of the Paper Mario games.
Yeah.
And those are RPGs. They take a long time.
Yeah, because you have to play the Japanese version because there's less text on the screen, which means when you skip through it, you have less dialogue skipping.
Yes.
That's such a weird thing that speedrunning communities. You guys are absolutely nuts. I love you.
Mm-hmm. All respect to you. Congrats on your insane abilities.
Yep.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I am so slow. I was playing a game, an action game, where the game is to run through and murder everybody as fast as possible, but the game gives you options for looting. So I looted everything. And people are like, I'm being left behind to die. Why? I was just looting. You should play that with us, Tantus. You and I would just loot everything, and then everyone else is waiting on us. Perfect.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I've
Usaopoly?
There's one more, but I was gonna say at the bottom of the thing where they're like doing the thing where like it's for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, $29, and they're like it'll be available to purchase this fall. Until then, why don't you play Talisman Kingdom Hearts or have our Rubik's Cube? It's like they're like, oh God, here's
these other things
you're so bad. You're so bad. Oh God, and now we've gone down into a dark rabbit hole that would have been great for Umber to be here.
Is this SpongeBob Clue?
No, it's the Warhammer. Warhammer 40k. Risk.
Okay. I mean, it's just Risk, but with Warhammer.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's still like the dark rabbit hole of like, you know, they do Risk, Monopoly, Clue, and all this stuff with just like, the thing is
it's just Risk. I don't think there's any downside to Risk. I don't know if I've played it a lot.
I think,
but it's not like
the actual game, probably not bad. The concept behind it, I think, is the dark rabbit hole we're going down. You know, sort of like, you know,
like, you know, Clue, Monopoly, Risk, and they just rebrand it with different things to sell it the exact same game.
Yeah.
But this one is Warhammer 40k. So
yeah.
That makes it better.
That totally makes it better.
Yep.
Features 5 different factions from across the galaxy. Do they do anything different? That's really like.
The world map is probably different.
Yeah.
It's not Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different map at least, I'm assuming. I mean, it's been so long since I've played Risk. I don't know how much is different. I honestly could not tell you. Because there's like people that are drawing cards and stuff. And I remember, depending on where you started and how many units you had, every time it was your turn, you had, like, you could add units to the board, but you had a certain limit of how many you could add. And I don't know if that's the case with this one or not, because it's different. So I don't know how different it is.
It seems like they have, like a leader mechanic, that you have a leader that gives you a bonus based on the 40k, and then there's, like, one other kind of, like, little thing in here that's like a gimmick they're adding in that's like, it's slightly different.
I mean, if it is slightly different, that's actually better for it. Because if it's just literally Risk and reflavored to be Warhammer, that's like the lazy version. So if it's not that, props on them. I think that's a good
well,
change.
Yeah.
At least change it a little.
I feel like changing it a little is better than nothing, but I feel like the thing about these is, like, a lot of them, some of them, like, things like the Clue and stuff, tend to have, like, here's one change or something, you know, that makes it slightly different. But the thing is, like, it always feels like it's kind of the most minimum version of the work for that kind of thing, unfortunately. You know, it feels like they just don't do a lot to get to that. Here's this one extra thing, you know, like, your leader has an extra special ability, like maybe, like, you know, you create certain more units, or you're harder to get rid of for defending, or you're slightly better on attacking. I mean, like, there are little numbers, things that compare easily, and then, like, it sounds like the mechanic is all that there's, like, fort wall structures, they call it, that are supposed to be, like, focal points that are harder to invade through. Okay.
I'm reading to see if there's any difference that is obvious. So each leader has a unique Each faction has a unique leader with special power. Leaders move about the board with other units and really impact player strategy. For example, the Orc leader is a war boss, which gives a +1 to all attack rolls when present. Because Orcs are all about the direct approach. Habitant of the Spoiler leads the Chaos Space Marines and has the ability to reroll all ones because he does not accept failure. So it's definitely different than standard risk, because I don't remember leaders being a thing.
Yeah, I don't think leaders are a thing in standard risk. I like Abaddon the Despoiler.
Yeah. So each licensed version of Risk we look to add some thematic flavor that sets it apart from other games. In addition to the leaders previously mentioned, the most obvious example is the original map, which they worked with like some of the Games Workshop guys for Warhammer to build.
Well, that's good.
While we try and keep some level of consistency in the number of territories and regions, the layout and connections change for each game. In addition, Risk Warhammer 40k features a new mechanic based off the fort wall structures of Villages, which I think is one of the Warhammer books. They referenced it earlier. These long wall structures span great distances on the planet, and they link different regions. To bring this into Risk, the 3 fort walls belong to 2 regions, which players of Risk quickly recognize. This creates focal points for conflict. At each fort wall, territory count starts 2 different region bonuses, whatever that means. This means a player may not get either bonus unless they control the fort wall. So it's like
if you control a region, you get a region bonus normally. I think.
Yeah, but then there's also the fort wall, which you have to control both sides of it, and then you get an extra bonus or something. So it sounds like there's at least 2 new things, or 3 if you count the map. So I mean, it's not just Risk, which I think is infinitely better for them to not just literally just make Risk again.
That's true. They've at least made some effort. I don't know. Usaopoly always confuses me for their level of effort and the weirdness that they do, and there's certain like topics that I could probably hit for Usaopoly that I'm just like, nah, we're not going to talk about that, because there's like puzzles they do. They do puzzles, like just actual puzzles.
Just like a 2,000 piece.
Yeah, they do like weird jigsaw puzzles. That's just like, hey, it's a jigsaw puzzle for this like thing.
What if it's a black void of Cthulhu jigsaw puzzle, where every piece is just black?
That'd be pretty difficult. I mean, they had some other things that like I decided not to talk about that they came out with because controversy-ish things.
You could make an entire show about USAI.
God, them and the Steve Jackson Games are just like the 2 insane companies. Steve Jackson Games has been quiet for a while at least. I think after
Have they done some pretty good stuff though? Because we talked about the show.
They did Munchkin, and Munchkin is this mixed bag of okay and bad. You know, it's you get some things like Munchkin SpongeBob, which they did with Usaopoly, and then you get other things that are like, well, they're Munchkin, like Space Munchkin, you know, or things like that. They also did a
Warhammer 40k Munchkins.
I think they did that.
Oh, they do that?
Warhammer 40k Munchkin. I think they did that. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'm recalling. I think they even have like an expansion for it. Because I think
that's too much 40k.
Yeah, because when I was like looking through for topics, I saw that they were reprinting the expansion. I think.
I mean, I was saying that as a joke, but
there it is. Their expansion, Savagery and Sorcery. Oh boy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Well, they also. I was gonna say they did a CCG. That was just really bad, and you know, there were things with that were just infamous.
Oh yeah, the Risk 40k. At least it's not just Risk.
that could be. It's like saying it's like at least it's not just Risk.
Yeah, I mean they've added leader things. They've added some kind of fort wall mechanics, and it's a custom map.
Yeah.
So, you know that I give them an A for effort, as opposed to just literally just rebranding it and changing the minis. I'm like, here you go, it's Warhammer Risk.
I was gonna give them like a C+ because it's still just goddamn Risk in a way.
Yeah,
you know.
but it's slightly different Risk.
yeah. I'll, that's why they get the plus. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'd give them a B.
You give them a B. You're very nice to these people.
I guess so. giving a score rating. It's a B.
Let's talk about something else, though. Let's talk about our deeper discussion topic, the concept of the disposable character.
Ooh.
Now that
disposable in what way?
I think when someone says disposable character, I think it comes about it in two directions: from the GM side and from the player side. From the GM side, I think it also breaks down a little bit more. One might be like your NPCs that are just there to die or something. That's normal. You know, you have NPCs that exist for story reasons. You know, it's like, oh, hey, here's Steve Jenkins, who's totally going to get murdered by this villain, maybe the players, maybe Steve was the bartender and, like, helped out the players for a little bit or something, so the players at least liked him. So when the villain murders him, they're like, Steve, no! You were so great! You brewed the best ale of, your homemade ale that you brought forth was great! Man, Steve!
So on that, I think you could actually break it down further. Because there's obviously NPCs, right? The DM has to have tons of NPCs. Some of them are monsters, they're designed to die. Some of them are challenges where they may die, but that's not their entire purpose. They're not just a combat challenge.
Yeah.
And then you have NPCs who may have a story tied to them, but if they live or die, doesn't really affect the story because you might find out regardless. Like, he's got a journal that he kept because he's paranoid, and he's been watching this building and seeing a bunch of robed figures with masks going in and out all day long at night or whatever. Or you could talk to him and then he would tell you that, right? So, like, if he does something stupid to get himself killed and you search his house, you're still going to learn that information, but, maybe there was some, like, oh man, this guy was, like, helping us, but now he's dead because of it. Or you have the extreme example that you literally design them to just get killed. Kind of like what you were saying, where, like, they're actually going to die as part of your storytelling. Where, like, he's the bartender, right, using your example, and, he's, like, I welcome all new adventurers, and don't worry, I got a room specifically for you adventurer guys. And the PR party does some, like, missions and stuff, and he's, like, helps them out by telling them rumors and stuff. And then, like, a big bad villain shows up and kills him, right? He was predestined to die for the sake of the narrative. So there's a lot of ways you can go about that. From the GM's standpoint, I think whatever fits your story and table is fine.
I think, yeah, both of those versions of disposable characters are okay. Because they're story pieces, however you take apart them. I think on the GM side, the first issue we have is disposable characters that the GM treats for players. How the character is not important, in a way, to the story. And especially in very deadly games. I think this comes up that, like, if your game is going to be deadly, it's going to be very vicious, there might be character deaths. There are levels of that. Like, I've been in a game where the person in charge just sent waves of murderous death at the players constantly. And the amount of character deaths we had in that game was insane. I think we lost, like, at least, by the time I decided no longer to play in it, we'd at least lost, like, 20 people.
That's too many.
We had, like, 5 players. I had one character. I was the one that survived until, like, a certain point in time. And then, like, instead of killing my character, he basically meat puppeted my character and sent it back to the group and was sort of like...
That sounds worse.
Yeah, it was. With a creature that, like, doesn't normally do that. But he made it do that.
That just sounds like they wanted a dark horror kind of fantasy game.
But we were playing Pathfinder, and it's not that.
I mean,
it can be a little bit.
Pathfinder like that, but
you could. But the thing is, like, and it wasn't even like during an encounter with the group. I went to like we were in an icy area. I went to gather firewood, and like I encountered a creature that was living in like a mirror of ice while gathering firewood, and it did that to me.
Did you have a saving throw or anything?
Oh yeah, but I had to roll like a 15 or higher.
Ooh. And then just instant death.
Yeah, because normally it can't do that to it really doesn't do that to a person because there's other people present. Oh wait, I was all alone. Specifically, when I was all alone, he did that. Because the thing is, he didn't let us rest ever. Oh, he was a very terrible DM in a way. He was very... Because the person was the quintessential disposable character person as a player. I will put this. So as a DM, he treated players and their characters the same way. Like, I had to say, like, Joe lasted 2 characters, and then he left. So we were 3 of them. There were 3 other people, and they went through characters like tissue paper. The amount of things that happened to him. Like, I think one went through, like, 6, and this was a Pathfinder adventure path, and we lasted, like, to the 4th adventure we were on.
Jeez.
And I survived up to that 4th adventure. You know, Joe got, like, to, like, the 3rd adventure, and then his character died. And his character didn't die in a bad way. That's why he made a second one. But then his second character died in a really stupid way, so he left right before the second one started. It was just like it was kind of like, the first death, it was like, okay, yeah, it was during like an actual like epic battle with like a villainous character. I think it was a mini-boss or something, you know, you get that, you know. But this person would throw us, every time we rested, rather than roll for random encounters, would just include a random encounter.
Oh.
They looked at the random encounter table and were like, these are encounters I'm adding to the adventure.
As opposed to making them a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We encountered, like, everything on the random encounter table. Every time we rested, like, we had to rest, like, 2 or 3 times because we kept getting attacked.
That's too much.
Yeah, that's why everybody kept dying. That's why I stopped. It was too much. And it's sort of like, I can understand having difficult games, I can understand having deadly systems, but, like, that was a blatant disregard for storyline, even, in a way, with making the characters that disposable, because the story was going on, but we weren't involved in it at all. Like, Carrion Crowd at least tries to make people involved.
Yeah. I mean, we had characters in the Carrion Crowd game that... I don't think no one died, I don't think. Most of them just were like, you know, I decided that I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And the people that came in, besides, like, one, had pretty good reason to be there. They were still connected to the story, not the initial story that started at the beginning, but they were connected to the overall story, so they had a place to be there. The other one was just kind of like, hey, you guys seem really cool, and I don't want to be here anymore. I'll come with you. I hate Undead. You know, that was the other character's story for joining, which, you know, is fine. You know, it wasn't that big of a deal. They were also a new player coming in. So there was less, like, the character, the player, rather. The player wasn't like, oh, I don't want to play this character anymore. It was, I'm going to join the game, and this is a really easy way for me to join. It's just like, you just meet me, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's kill some dudes.
And I think the thing is, like, if you have a good way of doing that, like, hey, like, I was like, hey, people could be members of the Palatine Eye, you're opposed the Whispering Way, you know, and, the Whispering Way's up to something, this group is involved with them, maybe you should go help them out to ensure they have victory over the Whispering Way.
Yeah, which makes sense for the context. But, like, if people are dying so much that you have 27 more character sheets ready to go, then, especially in a story-based game, I think that's the wrong place. If you were playing a exploration-based game in a very, very deadly continent, and there was, like, people coming there to do stuff, it would make sense that, like, oh, well, someone died, well, that sucks, we'll just go get someone else from the Adventurers Guild. Because that's why they're there. But if it was like, we're here to defeat Draxus, the spoiler of worlds or whatever, and only the party knew about this dude, and you went to a tavern and said, hey, we're gonna kill Draxus to destroy the worlds, they'd be like, who? What? You know, they have no connection to that name. It's just some random name. Be like, we're gonna go kill Steve because Steve's an asshole. Be like, what? Steve who?
I think it was a lot of that too, because like as I'm trying to remember, like I can remember sort of a couple of the adventures. I can't remember how they connect together, like at all. Like some of the characters came in and like I felt like early on when we had issues, the characters came out in interesting ways. Like one of the times we like attacked this fortification that had like these slave pits in them, you know, and we rescued some of the slaves. And hey, these people that we rescued, hey, do you want to join us in fighting these things that, you know, enslaved you? And they're like, hell yeah! And there are some more characters. Others were just like, I just happen to be here. You seem trustworthy. I'll join your quest to fight these horrible creatures.
Like the gamer one, where the dude dies and comes back as a wizard.
Yeah.
He's trying to pick this block, and he just shows up. Hey, it looks like you guys need help. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Some dude approaches you in the middle of a dungeon and says they want to join you. That's weird. That's a weird way to join.
It felt like the later one, especially the later ones, started becoming like that. You know, it's because we had too many, and it became harder and harder to include people in, and like made less sense for the storyline. So it just degenerated so much, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's
so. On the topic of that.
We
disposable characters.
For you have to be careful as a DM that you want your characters, not necessarily you want to try to prevent them from dying, because death is something that should be there. You can give them a couple of outs if you want, you know, get like, you know, things like in Madness of the Land. I said like, you know, which when I do it again, like the Adventurers Guild has so many uses of, you know, like some resurrection magic that the church has. So, like, if one of you dies, it might not be the end of them. If you get the body back, you know, you could take it to the church and they can resurrect them, you know.
Which is a pretty good way. I mean, that's kind of what I had for my game. It's like, you guys know someone who can cast that spell.
Yeah.
But, you know, they decided that, you know, I liked how that character went out, so I'm going to, you know, leave them out.
Yeah, which is fine if that's kind of where it is, or if like when that happens, you're like, well, you know, that seems like a very difficult point in time for, like, you know, my body be retrieved, you know, or something, you know, so it's hard for me to come back, you know. I understand not fighting for me, that kind of thing.
I am very much in players' favor. I may throw a very difficult battle at them where I expect one or two people to go down, but I'm not trying to kill my players, because I want the story that I'm telling to be the players in this story. And if things get really, really, really hard, or something happens that they just end up being killed, and it makes sense for the context of the scenario that's going on, I'm not opposed to having the pirate killed. But I'm not going to be like, alright, an ancient dragon shows up, and you just lose.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do all the combat, but you're just gonna lose because it's a CR20 or whatever. I mean, that's stupid. It's you throwing the game away and all the story that's been built up for the players you're having. If you don't care about a story and you're playing a game where the story is either very light or it's not directly involved with the characters' lives, it's fine to have characters that can die and have a deadlier game if that's what you want to play. But it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to have a story-based game where there's going to be a lot of death, because the people that are coming in have little to no connection to the story at this point. They haven't experienced anything. They just show up and be like, hey, we're here to help.
I think you can do it. I think you have to set it up that it's ready for it. You know, I think that's what it is. Like the idea of like an Adventurers Guild where, like, if a lot of people die, there are more people at the Adventurers Guild that can replace them. That, like, you know, the survival can tell their tale, you know, of like, oh man, you know, this happened. Or, like, have them be able to communicate with people, so maybe a total party wipeout isn't a total party wipeout. You know, like, the, you know, guild leader would be like, we haven't heard from them, and maybe you can find one alive or something like that, you know.
Yeah,
or
they form a new group to go and look for the last party.
yeah,
Those kind of things can work.
yeah, but you have to you have to know when the game might be deadly and be ready for it. You know, it's certainly like 5th edition. You probably don't have to worry about that as much. Pathfinder, maybe having something set up a little bit for it because it can be deadly depending on circumstances.
I can easily kill players in 5th edition. It's not hard. It's just the game system is in more favor for the players to survive.
Well, I agree. You know, if I really wanted to, I could kill. In any system, if you really wanted to, you could kill people. I mean, that's not the trouble. I think it's that.
That's the thing that I think 5th edition maybe gives players a false sense of power in that when you're playing the game like as intended, you know, it's a game system to empower players to make them feel like heroes and adventurers and stuff, and so that's how it's built for mechanic wise. But the DM can just go off script and be like, hey, you guys fight a dragon. Oh, I'm not gonna tell you what the CR is. You just fight this dragon, and either it's massively powered for them, or you know what, they beat it up and it runs away. Like, you can just do that, you know? The DM has all the power, but if you're doing it to, like, punish or kill your players because, you know, they're you know, doing something you don't like, well, that gets into that's probably not a good thing you should do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that 5th edition isn't a deadly system.
And I think, like, just as a side note for there, the idea of doing something to punish your players when they're bad, I think that's not a bad idea. So we're not saying that, like, don't punish them when they deserve to be punished. You know, if your players are assholes and they shouldn't have been, they've earned it.
The consequences is more.
Yeah.
Not just like, I don't like this one thing that totally makes sense in character that had absolutely nothing bad affecting it, but they did it jerkily, so I'm going to kill them for it. That's kind of maybe not okay. But if it's like, they go into, like, they hear about some lich or something, right? And they're just like, we're badass 5th edition players, we can fight a lich or whatever. And they go in there, don't pull your punches because they went and fought something that's way above their pay grade.
Yeah. I think that kind of handles the GM side of, like, the idea of disposable characters, you know, just to think about that. I think the last part to talk about is players, which this is an issue that actually has to come up with individuals rather than as a group, which I have met individuals that are a lot more like this. And it's the idea that they are less attached to their characters, and those characters then become disposable.
Well, I get so attached to my characters. Like, if I have a really good idea, because, like, for me, if you said, hey, Lightning, make a character, I can make a character. It's just like, all right, what sounds cool? Blah 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 blah. Boom, here's a character. Mm-hmm. That is a stat block, stand-in cardboard cutout. It's not a character. A character is someone who has like emotions and ideas and thoughts and hopes and dreams and stuff. So making an actual character, to me, I like having that kind of stuff. So if I'm making like a full-fledged character, it can sometimes take me a while because I really think about those kind of things and their place in the world and how they would interact with the world. Because I know a lot of meta things because, you know, I've seen like DM sides of things or am a DM. So like mechanically, if we end up fighting like, oh, you're gonna fight a manticore, well, I know what a manticore can do, you know.
Yeah.
But the character probably doesn't. So that's where metagaming comes in, right? You have to act like you're a person in that world. If you have no attachment to the character, then you don't care, really. It's like, oh, I'll just run in and fight him, whatever.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately, I've seen it kind of a little bit, like, to the extreme. Like, the person that I was talking about that was DMing it, I had them as a player. It seemed like all their characters were not necessarily suicidal, but, like, they were constantly trying to, like, get stuff to replace their characters. It almost felt like a lot of times. Like,
when people like try and kill their own character off.
They I feel like there might not have been a full intention, but enough like push that they ended up killing their characters a lot and replacing it, and they always had a lot of like ideas. Now, this is a person that had a lot of time on their hands and basically read through the majority of the PSFRD and was discovering a lot of the weirdness and secretness.
Where someone would think of a character concept and it's like, wow, that's really cool, and they're like, yeah, and this is what it would do like in combat and stuff. I'm like, that's really cool. That's strong, and it's a pretty good character idea and stuff. And then like a week later, they're like, I had this another idea for a character. They do all these things. It's like, well, what about that first one? It's like, oh, well, I can play that one too. And then so they have like these 5 different character ideas. And then so if that one that they made for the game starts getting boring or something happened they didn't like, they'll just throw it away. Either they'll do it suicidally, where they'll just try and like fight to the death stupidly, or they'll find a reason to talk to the DM to have the character leave and then have another one come in.
I mean,
I've seen that before.
I can understand being disenfranchised about a character because things happen. Because that happens with characters occasionally. Things happen with your character that don't go the way you want it, and your character is not going the way you want it to. Then you're like, either you want to be able to change it or switch out characters. I've been there.
Hold up my hand. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
that was the thing. I made like the character like personality and stuff was okay. I mean, it could have been a little bit better, but I thought it was pretty good. But the build that I was picked and chose was just totally not what I wanted to play, and I didn't realize that until much later in the game. And it's like, wow, I should have just been a sorcerer. But I think I chose to not be that because I was trying to fit myself into the party as a role, and by doing that, I kind of ruined my original concept for the character.
Yeah.
Which sucked.
It's unfortunate that, like, it becomes hard sometimes, and, like, it's like, I certainly can say, like, I can think of examples where, like, I play through a game and, like, maybe what's happening to the character does that too. Because you can get it in a couple of different areas where you're disenfranchised with your own characters. It can be, oh, hey, this concept, mechanically, didn't work the way I wanted it to. And it breaks down, and it makes it that your character doesn't do very well. Like, your character, like, ends up in the situation, in the game, bad. That happens.
That sucks to play.
That sucks to play. It could also be that, like, the character, how you try to establish it. I think that technically would be what we call for a Dranthier. Dranthier didn't play the way Umber wanted to, and, like, Umber kind of backed himself into a corner and never got out of it. Yeah. Which I think he could have, but I understand when you sometimes feel like you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, with Link.
And
that happened.
And then the third situation is the one I've encountered, which Joe likes to talk about the character I had for his system with the Laserfoot and Stunfoot. Let me put it this way. Those were circumstances beyond my character's ability, and after the Stunfoot showed up, I'm like, yeah, no, this character isn't fun to play, because the shit that happened to him is too not good. The weird foot shit was just... It was just weird.
Is this a cyberpunk character?
No, it was a 1940s mob game, but there's like a race of aliens that crash landed on Earth, and I was one of their experiments. So when I lost a foot, they're like, that's I guess they were monitoring me and using me to monitor, like, because I was a member of the Mafia, because I guess they were monitoring governments and organizations. So, like, a loss of foot is not helpful. Let us give him a replacement. He will not know any different. And I'm like, I thought I lost my foot. Where did this new foot come from? This is really weird. And then I had a laser cannon out of it. But then that one exploded, so they gave me another one that stunned people.
That's really weird.
Because I kept getting shot in the foot. I will tell you,
one of those hit die things
Joe's dice roll system for body parts was not great.
I mean, that's an interesting side tangent thing. And we've talked about it a little bit. I'll give an example here. The cursed necklaces that you guys had when you killed all the fish people, the Kuatella. you're like, hey, we should get evidence. So Helmer, the barbarian, was like, I'm gonna grab all the necklaces. And I'm like, these are like weird things. I should have something happen. Ended up rolling like stupidly high, so it was like more than it should have been, but it was kind of funny, so I just kind of went with it. And so it was like, yeah, you know, you get a 6 psychic damage headache because I rolled maximum on like a d6 because it's you know, like 2 or 3 damage. You know, it's enough to go like, something's not right with these. But then there was like the being compelled to put them on. And it's like, I want you to roll a will save or wisdom save. And it's like, you really want to put these on. I phrased it in the way where it's like, you want to do this as opposed to the extreme version, which is still 100% within the rules, is you put them on. You failed to save. You don't have a choice anymore. And that's kind of a player choice thing. And I'm coming back around to have this on topic. And that is when you have a character that has things that happen to them which you don't like, if you have it happen enough, or if they're severe enough, you may not want to play that character anymore because it's not really your character anymore because of all these bad scenarios that happen that change them. Now, maybe you wanted them, and so you're okay with that. But I think, like especially me, I think there's a lot of players that their character is like theirs. So when it's not like a mechanic thing, like let's say it's a spell, you know, it's a suggestion. You know, you failed, you're suggesting. Well, that's not really a big deal. But let's say it's like Gias or something. It's way stronger, and it is kill your friends, and if you don't, you end up losing your character. There's extreme versions of that, which can make you not want to play that character anymore, and then try and throw it away.
I think a great example for that kind of thing, which is sort of a combination of choices plus saves plus things, is Momo's character from your game.
Ah, yes.
The amount of changes that have happened to Momo's character are staggering. But
all of them were willing.
Yes, all of them. I think all of them kind of started the idea of willing, but like I think the results are what's unexpected. You know, you start down your own path, and like there is a limit, I think, on what you are willing to do, even if you made bad choices. And I think that didn't hit for Momo, but I could see someone hitting it with that kind of things happening to the character.
Definitely. Huge physical changes and even spiritual level changes. The original character was Roland. Started as Roland. They were a wood elf. They are now a fox girl, and they changed their name to Viren. That is a huge change. They're technically their religion and stuff is more or less the same, but they've met a deity because of some other things that happened that technically were sort of before the game, but they continued into the story. So it's like, here's a thing that happened before, and then we're gonna continue it in the actual gameplay. And because of the way I had it set up, is there was like this little small connection thread, and I left it as an option to like, do you want to pull on this thread? You just want to leave it alone? And they pulled on the thread, so I wrapped up this big whole tale and story. And for Momo and their character, they enjoyed it. They really liked it. But the amount of stuff that's changed from when they were level 1 to now they're level 6, they're basically a different character. Just straight up, they're not the same person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think like there's different levels of all this, I think, is the thing. You have to, like, take everything from a direction and kind of, like, analyze where it's coming from and think about it for yourself, too. Both on players and GM side. Like, because I know what it's like to both play with someone and play in a game with someone that, or run a game with someone that really disregards their characters. And you know, it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like I have to say honestly, like being a fellow player with that person, which I was the last time I played with them, which was, I think, our last in-person game I did, was not nearly as bad. But it created so many issues for our poor GM, and I did not care, because it wasn't my it wasn't my problem.
Yeah.
That was the game where our characters were time traveled to Fallout by a time dragon who Benjamin Buttons, sort of, and sent us into the future from the past to ensure his birth.
That's a weird storyline. Time travel is weird, yo.
Yes, but we also traveled to like a post-apocalyptic Galzyr that was effectively Fallout, created when the Tarask, which apparently basically lavosed from Chrono Trigger into the planet, had awakened and they tried to nuke him.
I mean, that's a really crazy, insane plot that I kind of love, but there's a difference between loving an idea and playing in the idea.
I mean,
because, you know, that changes things.
Yes, we did get to stand on, like, thermonuclear, like, Godzilla Tarask's back, because apparently, like, similar to the dinosaur that mutated from radiation to Godzilla, the Tarask mutated from the radiation into, like, Super Tarask. I think we threw it into the sun, and that's how we got rid of it, because we're like, we can't kill it. We can just...
You Goku it.
We basically, like, just... It's the sun's problem now!
Yeah, no, you've Goku'd it. Goku has thrown so many people into the sun.
It's the sun's problem now.
Yeah, no, so that's a good way. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Tarask can't survive a sun.
No, I think it could, because it was like what the version of it was like so insane. But we're like, we're not sure if this would kill it, but at very least it's stuck in there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it would die, because I don't think that there's a reason the sun isn't a character stat block you can fight.
I think Pathfinder Tarask still needs like a wish to kill
Mario.
it, to like actually kill it, the wish spell to still kill it, so I think it's...
But like, in AD&D, it's like you have to do like all of its hit points in one attack, and then while it's down, you have to do another like 100 and something damage in a single attack, and that will kill it, or a wish spell. So I'm sorry, I would assume the sun being a giant, super massive, superheated ball of plasma does more than a fireball spell or a level 9 meteor swarm. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure the sun is not measurable in traditional magic.
I will agree, but against like a CR 40, 45, I don't know.
I mean, unless it's a deity, I think the sun would just kill everything.
It might have had enough resistance as immunity.
It would get cancer and die.
Well, I think it was immune to radiation because it had already been nuked by like a planet's worth of nukes.
Okay, that's fair. But is it immune to fire damage?
I don't know. We just dumped it into the sun and said it's your problem now. I don't think we even did, like, we're like, is it still alive? I don't know. It's the sun's problem.
Breathe oxygen?
No, it didn't. We found that out.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, because there's the super cold vacuum of space, and then there's the burning inferno of the sun.
Well, the entire storyline is, you know, this was the Tarask from our previous adventure where we were not on Galarion, but on Faerun, and we blew it off the planet. So it plummeted through space for an unknown amount of time, and then basically, like, 2,000 years before our character's time was the starfall that did the, like, end of the civilizations, aka Lavos, on Galarion.
So
yeah, so it's basically like, well, Faerun's in another galaxy.
Do you have any Kickstarters we're going to talk about?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah, we should, I got one. We should move on.
Let's talk about the
Kickstarter.
What one was it? The Avatar The Last Bender one again.
I got a pretty cool one here. Carbon Gray.
Oh.
Which is a diesel punk. So it's like World War I with like World War I mechs and you know.
It's the 1910s and the world is in flames. The Great War ravages the countryside of, I can't pronounce that, Europia. The leaving the sea is in destruction in its wake. Drifting airships bomb, whistling bomb. Wait, what? Oh, sorry. Drifting airships drop, whistling bombs on civilian targets, murdering hundreds, something to create a climate of fear. I mean, this sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Lie.
Yeah, it's World War One, you know, like taken to the extreme, kind of like. So
what
like.
system is it for? Is it its own system?
I think it's its own system, but this is a
D6
thing.
system by West End Games.
So this is a revised. It's a classic D6 system. So I think there was an original version of this at some point in time, but it's also got an omnibus of its graphic novels. So it's the role-playing game and the graphic novels, like an update of the role-playing game.
Okay. Oh, there's miniatures in here. Some of them are really awesome looking. This dude's got like a glowing cape.
Custom
this
dice,
looks
100.
rad as hell.
Yeah. Like the crazy like warrior dudes. There's a wolf monster. There's a giant like weird mech thing. I mean,
It's
like
like a lady in a dress with a gun.
yes. I mean, that's sort of. For some reason, that looks like an orc. Make a naked orc with a battle axe just leaping into battle. One of those miniatures.
He's got like a loincloth on.
Okay. Oh, he could be there could be a stone demon. There's stone demon, purge troopers, trench fighters, dog fighter, master spy, sovereign, free lady, Darman adept, moonlighter, royal operative, reluctant mentor, Fenris wolf, Gustle Grey, wolf general, cannon walk. Oh, the cannon walker's I think the big one. I feel like it's probably bringing in a little bit of like mythology stuff probably too from like things. It seems like that's fine. They do a lot of that.
It looks cool.
Yes.
I'll just say that. This looks really awesome.
Yes. When I saw this, I'm like, this is pretty cool.
I actually, the world I'm working on, the timeline is basically pre-World War I era tech. Is kind of, so when I saw this, I'm like, this would be like what would happen in my world in like 100 to 200 years. Like the World War I kind of technology and stuff would probably be coming about more. They have like little spinny 3D.
Yeah.
One of them looked like it had. Okay, no, it's just a short person. Look, one of them had this weird looking head, and I thought they were like a rat person or something. But what it is they have like a mohawk, like a really poofy mohawk that's folded over on one side, and big huge goggles, and they're like short. So I was like, what is that? It's a Darman adept, an old soul trapped in a child's body. Wow, okay, so I wasn't far off on the size thing. The Darman adept has the ability to divine and manipulate any continuity errors in our fragile reality. Oh boy.
Because apparently, like, whatever the war has caused, like, space-time to be kind of damaged. So there's, like, you get a wild die, which represents chaos in the game, because it's like, there could be, like, changes in reality that accidentally happen because of all the fuckery that, like, their weird diesel punk technology has caused.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So these are NPC heroes from the graphic novel.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr. Billowing Cape and Lady with a Sword and a Gun. I have no idea what they are. I mean, I think they have names. He's the Wolf General, and then Grizzlin Gray. I don't know. I mean, I can't pronounce words. All right. So there's cheap versions, which is PDF, printable, and such. And then hardbook cover is a little more expensive. And then the deluxe edition is like got all the miniatures and stuff, which is much more expensive because miniatures aren't cheap.
Yep.
But they look pretty cool.
It really does look kind of cool. Definitely. I thought it was a good one to be like, this looks cool.
Yeah. So go check it out. They have many days left, I believe. 20 days,
God.
as according to our
okay,
time.
so like I'm gonna go off right here. Like, they have different figures of that Gazelle character. They have 4 of them. Look at the add-on section.
Add-on section. I gotta probably scroll back down. I scrolled to the top.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where it's showing all the things.
Uh-huh.
And then there's that. There's those. That's the prices, weekly bonus, add-ons. All right, okay, here we go.
The first one, Chippy Figurine.
Yeah, the chibi one, yeah, and then...
the painted statue. The 12-inch statue you have to paint for yourself. And then the 12-inch posable action figure.
Yeah, that one is... The hair and face are a little weird.
It is weird.
But I mean, that's like one of their main people from like the books or something.
I guess so. Man.
But yeah, it looks really cool.
Yep. Neat. And for $30 you can do a copy of the rulebook and the omnibus. Oh no, it's the rulebook and the assimilated things.
Yeah.
I guess
digital only.
Yeah, you kind of have to like. It looks like you got. I guess there's probably a combo thing of them somewhere. Yeah, like 45 is when they start comboing. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's the Kickstarter I found.
I don't look at Kickstarter, so I don't have it.
Yeah. I think that moves us on to our weekend tabletop.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with what we normally do is like with Saturdays, and I guess with your game would be the place to start.
All right. We had my game after like a week break. And you guys, what'd you do?
What a boat adventures.
You looted a bow, which I don't know if you have looked at the stats of it.
I did look at the stats of it. Neat.
What'd you think of your bow?
It's neat. It's interesting. I guess it's like just like I have to figure out good times to like use things with it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because its abilities specifically only help you when you're in dim or darkness. So if you are out in daylight, it's just kind of like a slightly better short bow because I believe it's a D8 for its damage.
Yeah.
So it's a like kind of like a compound short bow, I guess. So it does a little more damage. So it's like on par with a longbow. So that you got at least that as far as upgrades. But it also has like a psychic energy damage thing, and I don't remember if you get bonuses for sneaking with it.
I don't recall that or not.
But I know a lot of its abilities only help people can be used in darkness.
Yes, that's accurate.
Which, as a rogue, is usually fine.
Yes.
But okay, so yeah, you found the bow. You guys went back to the main town place. You got a couple of like supplies and stuff because you were gonna go out to defeat the last of the cultist people. So while you guys were discussing what to do, it's like you guys have a boat. The boat's pretty fast. You're like, cool, we'll take the boat.
I think we thought like we'd scout things out to begin with. At least.
Yeah. So what you did is you sailed around. You were scouting. You guys rolled more 20s than I've ever seen in a single game. So basically, you learned everything, and then instead of like docking, you're like, let's explore more. So I'm like, okay. So you started sailing out and exploring things, and you came across a big, huge reef with an aboleth.
Yeah, that was pleasant.
Yeah, and then you're like, hey, let's not fight that. So you hard turned out of there, and then you sailed past some sunken ruins. You didn't see anything there, but I think the ruins were partially made out of the coral, so it's a huge coral reef. And you sailed past that, and you went to another place that you had sailed past previously, but you never like stopped to check it out because you were on a different mission. And so you dropped anchor there, and we're just kind of like hanging out, being like, "What should we do here?" And it's like you're being watched by stuff, and it's like, "Uh-oh, they're watching us," and they didn't approach, and then it started getting darker and darker. You stayed there anchored, and then finally the sun set, and they started coming towards the boat. That's where we had to stop, because unfortunately it was a short boat.
Yeah.
So that's where it's going to begin, is you're on a boat, and there's some things that are going to attack you, and I have to probably change one of them, because I saw something, and I want to add it to the fight. So I need to fix that. So I need to go and change something really quick. Otherwise, I'll forget. So I need to make a mental note for that. But yeah, that was Saturday.
It was a good time. Good times. Good times. Did I do stuff on Sunday? I've got to remember.
Did you never forget to kill?
Yes, we actually did never forget to kill, which ended up actually being really interesting because, so last time I think I'd said we encountered like people that had been like Last of Us plant monster kind of,
yeah,
and like this other like beast that lives in the river that's really dangerous that tried to drag me away, but failed, which was impressive because I'm a large elephant man. But he's like a creature with large sized. Anyway, so we decided, okay, let's head down the river towards the coastline and check that out. We went back, rested up, prepared this, because we're like, hey, if we head to the coast, maybe we can cross over there. Because we didn't explore the entire coast. We explored most of the coast, but we got to an section of the coast that we're like, hey, there's like cliffs here. So we're like, okay, this is probably an area of the cliffs. We discovered a bridge. Like an old bridge that was from the time when this island was inhabited by dwarfs. And we're like, on the other side of the bridge, we're like, oh, hey, there's tracks there. And I'm like, if tracks were coming here, they had to lead somewhere on our side of the bridge. Let's follow them. And everybody's like, oh, hey, that's actually probably a good idea. Because, we're on one side of this bridge where, we've been kind of living and exploring. Where are they going? Turns out it heads down to where the old docks were. And because we're trapped on this island without a boat, we're like thinking to ourselves, eventually we might have to build our own boat. We're like, well, maybe that's the way to do it. Eventually we'll have to build our own boat. So we go to these docks, we're trying to take them over. And it turns out living outside of the docks is a Cyclops who had two, ogres that were watching it. Were, I guess, guests. So we approach, and by some miracle, the ogres notice us.
Oh, jeez.
Now, it's even sillier, because I was like, it's difficult terrain in the area. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wild shape into a goat and carry around our fighter.
Oh, jeez.
It turns out these guys really like goats. So as soon as they saw me, they're like, goat! Delicious! Now the Cyclops hasn't seen anything. We nuke them. So then afterwards, the Cyclops doesn't understand us. We don't speak giant. It's just like, more guests? Especially because he's like about to fight, and then our paladin intimidates the shit out of him. And our paladin's the one that had murdered one of the like the ogre right in front of him, and he's like, "Want some food?" He's dumb, but he's not that dumb. And so then we get someone to negotiate. And so basically, we've made friends with the Cyclops, who's now going to be watching after the docks for us.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was kind of a really neat thing. So we just feed him a bunch of chickens that apparently we also have a lot of those because our one character had magic shoes which can leave footprints, and they forgot they had set it to chicken feet at the beginning of the campaign, and so it made it look like there was a cockatrice going everywhere we went. And chickens hang around cockatrices because they don't eat them and protect them.
Nice.
So that's why we're that explains why all the chickens in the forest have come to hang out around with us.
Yeah, I was like, this thing's... I mean, look at its footprints. It's totally a cockatrice.
It's going to protect
Not
us.
At all.
It's totally a cockatrice. It's totally going to protect us. Yep. I think the next game I had was Wednesday, which I had Legacies of Kain.
You didn't have Monday game? Because that's the second
do we have Pathfinder 2nd Edition? Let me think for a second. Yes, we had that. Now I remember it. In that game, what we had was previously let loose
a lizard in that one.
Yeah, I'm the lizard folk. We let loose a giant dinosaur. We basically found this mining operation that basically had enslaved a bunch of kobolds that we were sort of had made friends with, and then we we're still looking to help them out. And, you know, we found out about we found a mining operation that they escaped from, where they were mining gold, and apparently, like, I guess, like, arsenic or something is getting in there because of the mining process, so they were being poisoned. So we did things like they had a big dinosaur monster captured. We let that go so they could, like, you know, it had murdered a bunch of them. And then we convinced the kobold, like, one of the leaders of the place, like, oh, hey, we had rescued your fellow people that had escaped. And also these people that had been, like, with you have betrayed you. Because we had some information on that. And she's like, fuck, well, I'm gonna leave and try to re-meet with my people. I can't really betray things here because I can't have people know about it. I'm just gonna, like, go on a trip, and you happen to do stuff after I leave. Okay, bye. And so then we've just killed a bunch of them, and now we've gotten down to, like, the last part where there's like, the mining pit and the people that are down in it now. So that was fun, you know, creative combat things. We didn't have to have, like, direct combat a bunch of times. I mean, we did trample a bunch of frog people with a dinosaur and murder a bunch of monkey people by, like, having one of our fighters stand in the way of the doorway while, like, we threw area effect spells in the room with a bunch of them that were, like, resting after working.
Oh, wow, murder hobos.
Look, they are horribly evil, and, yes.
Yes.
And they work for a dark cult that has, you know, done horrible things in the region.
No, the cults are totally fine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you'll probably learn more about not evil cults later
Totally,
today.
totally not evil cults later on today.
Not at all evil cults.
This cult is totally, totally not evil. It's fine.
Yeah, they're just trying to get some stuff done, and you just get in the way all the time. Apparently.
Then, I think did I Star Trek?
I don't remember. I want to say no.
I think I did. My brain for this week is just so fried, apparently.
I don't remember. Oh, maybe you did. Maybe you did have Star Trek.
Yes, because
you were in the new area. Oh, I don't remember.
I think we were in the new area dealing with all the issues that were there. Like, we resolved the Romulans, and there's other things we're resolving, and the ships aren't showing up yet. We get, like, the active captain in quarantine, and
yeah, because you discovered the captain was infected by the thing.
Yeah, by the disease, and we're like, and the entire idea is that, like, at least the race we encountered, like, apparently did, like, genetic manipulation and like, you know, merged a bunch of races together or something, and so, like, they have a lot of DNA that it probably would be, you know, if one gets infected, the entire, like, population of all the races can get infected, unlike with ours, where if it crosses barriers, it'll probably be one race at a time kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be really, really hard to do that.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah.
Just throw everyone that's sick on the ship, just throw them out the airlock.
I like the
it'll be the sun's problem now.
That's the Tarrasque.
I mean, it'll be the Tarrasque's problem now.
You'll see this, like, mouth come out of it, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, we learned that they were using their, like, wormhole teleportation technology. They were using, like, effectively a Dyson sphere, but it was over top of a wormhole, not a wormhole, black hole.
Black hole.
Yeah. It's like a black hole Dyson sphere.
Which is weird. I'm not sure how that would work, but science fiction.
Yeah, science fiction. No. I mean, like, honestly speaking, like, I thought about it, I'm like, sure, science fiction. You know, like, Romulans use miniature black holes to power their ships. It's gotta be a way. Yeah, so there's gotta be a way to harness it on the large scale.
I'm not sure how, but when you destroy a Romulan ship, it explodes.
Yeah.
And then sucks into itself and explodes again.
Yeah.
It's really bad to have, like, a Romulan ship, like, ram crash you and blow itself up, because it will destroy you as well, because the singularity collapses and then explodes.
Yep.
The ultimate FU is being rammed by a Romulan ship.
Yeah, Romulan's dicks like that. So, and then
you had vampires.
I did have vampires, in which they did really good because they, like, asked a person in charge some questions, and then I had them roll, and they rolled, like, 3 10s, so I'm like, well, they know stuff.
Stuff is good to know.
Well, yeah, they're trying to find out about, like, the last clue that they need is there's apparently, like, sort of 4 doors, maybe physically, maybe metaphorically, that they need 4 individuals to open. And they're like...
asking for fairies, and I'm like, fairy's a derogative term used for calling a certain type of person something, and I feel like that should have come up a lot when they're just like, we're looking for fairies. I'm like, well, you need to head over to this nightclub if you're looking for some fairies.
I was tempted to do that at one point in time.
It's just kind of like, not PC, I guess.
That's why I didn't do it. I was like, that's not...
My brain was thinking it.
Let's not do the not PC thing, let's do the PC thing. Great, you've gone a really weird direction with this entire questioning line. You found some stuff out, you're on the right track. You've got...
There's also a nightclub botch.
Oh my god, that was wonderful. That has earned the enmity of someone with Umber more than they are, like, they suspected Umber of stuff, and Umber was, like, the most defensive and, like, and like, not cooperative at all. And then Umber was pissed off when they were like, you're kicked out permanently.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it because it was technically in character, but it's also like, this is Leslie being Leslie versus someone, and it's not good to be Leslie on their own at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, that's playing your character. Sometimes your character can just screw you up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if it'll really come up too much, because it's like, there's probably going to be like 1 or 2 more sessions, because honestly, they did pretty good. Like, I was thinking I was going to try for a couple more sessions, and it wasn't maybe quite as fast as I wanted, but it wasn't super slow either. I mean, they effectively got a bunch of leads and things like that, so, hey.
I think I missed the last 30 minutes of the show because I had to step away.
They effectively figured out that they need a mage, a demon, a hunter, and a changeling.
The changeling was the pixie.
Yeah. I think they're going to try to find a satyr, because satyrs hang out in nightclubs.
Oh, so the hunter was like the pure being or whatever.
That's the one
that has like true faith or something.
Yeah, that and has like that leads to hatred, because hunters hear a divine voice that gives them their powers, and then they go murdery.
Yeah, they're weird people, I guess.
While the other one is the demons are actually supposed to be effectively fallen angels, even though White Wolf angels aren't like the traditional angels you'd think, but they are like higher spiritual beings that are probably benevolent. And then the demons are like ones that, we got trapped in the abyss during some kind of event and horribly corrupted, and the entire storyline is neat because it's like, as I think I was saying during the game, when they escape the abyss, they possess human bodies and basically assimilate their souls, and doing that, they learn like what they are again, and they're like, oh fuck, we have our senses back, what the fuck have we done, oh my god, kind of thing, because
That's kind of cool though.
Yeah, so Demon the Fallen is actually that's a Fallen storyline. You're on a redemption arc in that game. I think that's
cool.
Yeah, it's actually a really neat system that isn't talked about much because it is called Demon the Fallen. I mean, it sounds very evil, but it's technically probably one of the more good World of Darkness games, surprisingly.
Which is weird because like all of them are super evil.
And like werewolves are like neutral because they're like nature first.
Werewolves like horribly murder people. Sure, they do it for a good cause.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that they just rip someone in half.
That's
like,
true.
No one will destroy the earth. And they tear the dude's spine out from his back, and then like chomp his head off or whatever because they're bloodthirsty. Hunters can be pretty bad because they're like kill first, ask questions later. Most of them are. There are a few that aren't, but that means that they're very murder happy when the supernatural being might not be bad. Yeah. You're different than me. Time to die.
Well, I mean, like, again, they gain their powers during, like, a horrible, murdery, supernatural event. So, like, if a couple of werewolves get into a fight and it ends up in an area killing a bunch of people, that could cause someone to awaken as a hunter.
And going on mortar or just rampage with a shotgun.
I guess mages are just dicks because they can mess with reality if they really want to. Granted, paradox is a thing, but still, they can just fuck with everything.
Yeah, it's just like that to come up with an argument that reality isn't broken, and then they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's challenged
Mages
sometimes.
are weird.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because they have that, like, as long you can have like that power that you are like god tier power, but the problem is like it could have horrible ramifications.
You're also still a human technically, so.
Oh yeah, they're squishy.
If you're not using magic or whatever, you know, just get your spine ripped out of your back again.
And then like changelings are like, I don't know, like they're technically like fey souls that have assimilated and replaced like young babies or something, you know. So they're the storyline of like the fey replacing a child or something.
That's a little. That's sus.
Well, it's like the Chronicles of Darkness, the reverse. I was talking with Worm about it. I like both of them because the reverse one is you're one of these like humans that ended up in the Fey realm and grew up there, and now you're like returning to the mortal realm. So it's the opposite. Because you're kind of replaced.
We had game 2
Yes.
on our Thursday game with Momo as our DM.
When...
I want you to describe some of this nonsense.
Look, I got drunk with me and my badger and like a bunch of us, and it was wonderful.
Peer pressured one of the other people into drinking with you.
We did. We peer pressured someone to drink with us. That was good too. We did finish off the bandits and like purify the.
Only 2 of them died.
Only 2 of them died. One, because when I criticaled, I'm like, I'm probably just killing them, honestly. When I criticaled, you know, it was... I could have, like, kept them alive, but I'm like, it felt appropriate with a critical hit to be like, I just accidentally killed them.
The other one was a leader, like a bandit leader.
And pissed off our one person.
Yeah, pissed off our rogue, who has since looked like a human, but not anymore. They've shown their foxy truth.
Mm-hmm.
And they got stabbed. Like, I think they got critted.
Yeah.
So they were like, I don't want this person to live anymore. That really hurt. And so they just stabbed him to death because he had 1 hit point. And they did so much damage. He's just absolutely murdered. And I'm a paladin.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't do anything. I've consistently rolled terrible for my hits. So that's good. That's good for me.
I am the, like, mostly roll terrible with occasional bouts of greatness.
Prepare to take over the role of tank, because I don't think I can because of how I've built my character. So I'm probably going to fall away from tank and be more of a striker. So
I built my character to be a tank.
There you go. Awesome.
You know which fighting style I took? Defense.
That's a good one. I mean, it's only a +1, but hey, if you're wearing armor...
Yeah. It gave me a 19 AC with my shield and my armor.
Hell yeah. Because I think we leveled up. We should be level 3 now.
I need to figure out what I want to be. I jokingly thought about Cavalier just because I have the giant bird monster now. Oh yeah. So yeah, we got a cart. Our one person turned into a horse. We drug it back. Then I drug the cart that had a cage on the back with all the prisoners back to town. We sold the prisoners. We got a lot of money. We got no money from our actual job, which was really...
I refused it because it was such a small amount that I didn't care.
Because we got like a lot of money from everything else from the entire adventure.
Yeah, we looted that place.
Yeah.
We looted it and sold the bandits to the like bounties. We're bounty hunters.
Yes, I bought an axe beak then, and now we have a new mission, which is an escort mission, which is gonna suck, and we got a cart for that one too.
I paid for a cart and talked them into giving us horses to pull it, so that we don't have to pull it ourselves.
I've joked I could put the axe beak in front because, like, I have land vehicles as a skill, so maybe I should do that and just have my axe carry.
Yeah, then we can ride the horses or something.
Yeah, you can ride the horses, and I can just have the axe beak pull the wagon or something. I don't know. Just because I do have land vehicles as an actual trade skill.
Cavalier is a tanky subclass for fighters. And you have an axe beak could ride an axe beak into combat.
I considered it. I think like I was looking at the ones that are like decent ones because I didn't know all the fighter archetypes and like, I mean, there's a few others that are interesting. Like they always say like Eldritch Knight and Samurai are pretty good, but I'm like, I don't know.
I've played Eldritch Knight.
Eldritch Knight doesn't feel a lot like the character. I can understand it because, you know, I do have some magic with minor illusion and stuff like that already. But I feel like Eldritch Knight goes out very arcane, and I feel like if I was going to go like a fighter magical prestige thing, I would go Divine. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, unless Momo would let me be like, instead of like wizard stuff, like ranger stuff or something.
Rangers kind of get the short end of the stick as far as magic goes.
I don't know, but I mean, it's whatever. I mean, I don't really need spells, but I mean, like that's like, just as an option or something. Maybe.
Yeah.
Thing to talk about.
I mean, if you went cleric, I think there's a nature domain. So that could be an option if you wanted to multi-class later. But yeah, Eldritch Knight, I played it up to level 10 or 11 or something in one game, and you're a 3/4 caster in that, not a half caster. So it starts feeling bad at later levels. Like once you get to like level 7, you've pretty much got everything you're gonna get out of that class. Because at level 7 you get the cantrip strike as a bonus action. So like Booming Blade or Green Flame Blade, you can bonus action cast it, which gives you an attack, and then you can take your regular attack actions, or you can attack extra. So you still got like your 2 attacks. But like after that, other than just like I have a D10 hit die, you really don't get a lot from it, which is kind of sad. Where like Samurai and Battle Master and then Cavalier is actually really good. You don't even need a mount. There's like, you have one ability that you can use while mounted, but it doesn't specify you have to be mounted for using it. And it's a very defensive class. It was one that I was really considering playing. We did our one-shot where I was playing the Dragonborn, I think it was a Dragonborn, Samurai. But I went with Samurai instead of Cavalier because, I don't know, having mounts in dungeons and stuff, or like in a town is weird. But yeah, I don't remember what else I did. Besides buy a cart and miss a bunch, I haven't really done a lot in that game. I mean, I'm kind of just playing a stereotypical paladin right now, so I'm really a stick in the mud compared to the rest of the party. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. So I'll take a look.
Friday,
yes,
was another Momo game.
Not one I'm involved in.
No, it's just 3 of us now. So Momo is DMing it. It's myself, Lindsay, and Mercury, I think is their name on Discord, but I don't know if they're in any other thing that I could really like call them out for. Not like call them out like that, but like draw attention to them. But it's just us 3 players, and because of how stupid hot it is, it was another short game, and in that one we joined the government as like cops, but like world police cops kind of thing. We've joined an Inquisition, which it sounds as bad as it sounds. And they gave us an apartment to live in and an airship that we can use. We don't own the airship; it's like on lease. They work for the government. So we got in our airship that travels at 10 miles an hour, and made a 50-something mile journey in a couple hours as opposed to like several days if we decided to walk. And there was a giant zombie monster attacking the town, and I do mean giant because it wasn't large size. It was huge size. It was a 3x3 grid thing, and it was made of smaller zombies, all massed together to be a giant wiggly zombie mass. It's like a zombie siege engine, and I can fly, so I just jumped off the airship and started shooting with a gun. One of our rogue, no, they're ranger. Our ranger has a cloak of the bat, so they jumped off the airship and glided down to the wall, and then the other person who can't fly or anything like that was like, hey, can you move the airship over to the wall so I can get out? And then somebody proceeded to just murder it without it having any real ability to fight us back because two of the players were on the wall. I was shooting with a gun. We did so much damage to this thing. And every time, I think it was every time we did over a certain amount of damage, zombies would actually fall off of the creature.
That's pretty cool.
So it generated more creatures as we fought. But because some of us were on a wall and some of us were flying, it ended up being like, all right, you can just defeat the rest of them. They're zombies. They're not going to be able to come out. So in that kind of battle, if none of us had fly or none of us were on the wall, would have been probably really hard to fight if we were all just boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Because it's spawning extra creatures every time. Plus, it was already pretty tanky. It also could, like, goo people in a lump of flesh as one of its attacks, which was really gross and yucky. But it was only a 30-foot range, and we were all pretty much outside of that. It might have been able to do that to me if it came towards me, because I wasn't flying like super high. The first part of the fight, I was just kind of like, oh, I'll just be like, I don't know, like 30 feet in the air or something. So it probably could have done that to me. But it didn't. It went towards the gate because it came out of the swamps where we're going next because we're going to fight some vampires, I think. But we're going to take a short detour to go to this port city that Lindsay's character, I guess, knows somebody there and was looking for them. And so it's like it's kind of on the way because it's just east. So instead of going like southeast, we're just going to go east and then we're going to go south to try and find this temple that we're looking for in the swamps. That's where we're heading.
Neat.
Yeah. That game is coming up on the end. So there's 2 or 3 more sessions, I think. And that actually will be wrapping up that game. I don't know if you have anything else.
Nope, I think that's it. I was going to say hey to Eric, but I think that was a while ago that I now noticed
yes,
that.
Yes, it was.
Too long conversation.
Yes.
But anyway, that's probably a good place for it, honestly. That was a pretty good talk and pretty good discussion. Thanks for joining me, Lightning.
Yeah.
Should be back next week for Discussing Tabletop. Other streaming on my end, other than Legacies of Kain up in the air, I'm planning on returning Children of Wrath unless there's any issues this week.
Save it back for Blood, open beta, and stream it.
I could.
There's at least 2 people you know of who would play it as long as one of them isn't working.
I mean, there's plenty of people that I know would play a bunch of stuff that I have.
Like, I low-key, I really like that game, but I would not play it myself.
Well, there's a couple other games that I've been playing that I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this would probably be really good, to maybe stream a little bit of or something. And then I've been playing a bunch of Deep Rock Galactic with Umber and Blaze.
Yeah,
that'd be a fun one. But I just don't do it.
But there's also all the tabletop games that we talked about. Some of them aren't streamed, so.
Nope. Some of the things are coming up. So expect the things that are coming up in the future. Expect more announcements on stuff. I will probably try to at least do one kind of gaming stream this week, I think. I don't know what. But one of something or other, So.
Craft.
Maybe. That would be if I do a cooperative game, on one of the evenings and I'm not doing anything else, or during a day or something. I don't know. Maybe make Friday as a cooperative time again. Used to do that. We'll see. But until then, Legacies of Kain, next big one on the schedule. This show next week too. Legacies of Kain will be at 7 p.m. EST in the evening. Check it out. I hope everybody has a great day, great rest of your evening, and I think I'll see you next time, and hopefully Lightning and some others can join me then. So until then, farewell, everybody.
Bye-bye.